Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Adath Israel's 70th annual dinner. My name is Josh Gottesman, and I am the newly installed chairman of the board of the directors for our shul, and have the pleasure of being your master of ceremonies this evening. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces gathered tonight to celebrate Mrs. Marjorie Blenden and Shayna and Chaim Pinsker. I'd like to begin by extending a special welcome and thank you to Chief Saka, the Chief of Police of Elizabeth, to Hillside Council Member Dr. Angela Gerritsen, Hillside Council Member David Fierstein, State Senator Renee Burgess, and newly elected Hillside Mayor Andrea Hyatt. As a surprise to the honorees, the mayor and the council provided proclamations for them, which I will read, a shortened version, for you tonight, and honorees, I will give them out when you come up here. Whereas the proclamation honoring the life and legacy of Mrs. Marjorie Blenden. Whereas the Hillside Municipal Council recognizes and honors Mrs. Marjorie Blenden, a lifelong resident of Elizabeth and Hillside. I'm going to skip a bunch here. Sorry, Marjorie. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Hillside Municipal Council hereby recognizes and honors the life, leadership, and enduring legacy of Mrs. Marjorie Blenden, whose more than 70 years of residency and service in Hillside stand as a testament to her devotion to faith, education, and community. Be it further proclaimed that this proclamation be entered into the permanent records of the township as a lasting tribute to her remarkable contributions and lifelong dedication to Hillside and the Jewish community. Proclamation honoring the life and legacy of Chaim and Shayna Pinsker. Whereas the mayor and the township of Hillside proudly recognize and honor Chaim and Shayna Pinsker as exemplary pillars of the Hillside community, whose lives reflected a deep and enduring commitment to chesed, leadership, and communal responsibility. I'm also going to skip. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the mayor and township of Hillside hereby recognize and honor Chaim and Shayna for their outstanding contributions, devotion to communal life, and enduring example of service, compassion, and leadership. And be it further proclaimed that this proclamation be presented on the occasion of this community dinner as a formal expression of appreciation and gratitude for the many ways in which Chaim and Shayna Pinsker have enriched the Hillside community and continue to inspire others to give, to lead, and to care. We truly appreciate the council, the mayor, Chief Saka, your continued partnership, and the care you show for our community. We want to recognize Rabbi Uzi Beer, principal of the JEC Lower School, Rabbi Shmuel Bernstein, Kashrus Administrator of Ravad, Rabbi and Mrs. Naf, Rabbi of the JEC Amora Shul, Rabbi Avram Shulman, Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva Spir Yitzchak, and Dr. Bethany Strulowitz, principal of Berea. Your leadership and dedication to our community's Torah education and standards means so much to all of us. We're grateful for our partnership with the JEC and the leadership of Dr. Steve Sinkfer, President of the JEC Board of Trustees. Welcome. We're honored to have Michael Goldberg, President of the Jewish Federation of Greater Metro West, whose leadership strengthens our entire community. We are also honored to have with us this evening leaders from Yeshiva University. Dr. Monique Katz has served on the board of Stern College, and her son Michael serves on the board of YU. Together with her late husband, they established the Katz School of Science and Health, programs that so many of our children and families have been privileged to attend. We also welcome Janet Hode, who serves on the YU board, along with many of their fellow trustees who shared their well wishes in our journal. They join us tonight in celebrating Marjorie. We want to welcome Richard Joel, President Emeritus of Yeshiva University, who served as president for many in this room who attended YU. His leadership has shaped Jewish education and community in ways that have touched every one of us. All of you have inspired us, and we hope tonight we can give back a little and inspire you about the wonderful things happening right here in the Hillside Elizabeth community. Welcome. The Teitz family has made an impact on us all. We are privileged to have two of the Rav's sisters here with us tonight, Dr. Rivka Blau and Elisheva Teitz Goldstein, along with their husbands, Rabbi Yosef Blau and Dr. Harris Goldstein. The foundation your family built, our shuls, our schools, our community institutions, continues to thrive and strengthen. We're so grateful you're here to celebrate this milestone with us. We're also grateful to have with us Rabbi Binyamin Blau, our Rosh Havad and nephew of our beloved Rav. Your continued leadership and guidance means so much to our community. We're excited to hear from you later on in the program. To Ellie and Mark Weisberg, welcome back. Your parents, Jesse and Gloria Weisberg, transformed and expanded the shul building we call home today. Their vision and generosity gave us the space where we gather, learn, and celebrate together. Every tefillah, every shir, every simcha we celebrate there is a zechus in their memory. We want to welcome the extended Pinsker and Blenden families who are here with us tonight celebrating the impact that Shayna, Chaim, and Marjorie have made on our shul. Thank you for joining and making this night extra special. Before anything else, it's important to express our gratitude. Hakaras Hatov, recognizing the good that others do, is a core Jewish value, and tonight is very much a reflection of that. Firstly, a special thank you to Stephen Rosen, who recently completed his tenure as shul chairman. Stephen, we're grateful for your years of leadership and dedication to our community, and to your wife Shayna for supporting you every step of the way. On behalf of the shul, we'd like to present you and Shayna a night out at Mike's Bistro as a token of our appreciation. Please join me in giving Stephen a well-deserved round of applause. An evening like this doesn't come together on its own. It takes planning, coordination, creativity, and countless hours of behind-the-scenes work. From logistics and programming to the many details that make tonight feel special, so many people contributed their time and energy to make this evening possible. We want to take a moment to recognize those who played a key role in bringing tonight together. Thank you to our dinner committee, in no particular order, Brian Ness, Aliza Fierstein, Benji Singfer, Scott Susser, and Shmuley Saklad. A special thank you to Yossi Pinsker, our journal chair, for his dedication and for producing the beautiful journal and the slideshow for the evening. We'd also like to express our sincere appreciation to Yehuda Kamener, whose behind-the-scenes work was truly invaluable. From managing registrations to keeping every detail organized, Yehuda's reliability and commitment made an enormous difference. Thank you as well to Ultimate Entertainment for the AV, Nathan from Avenue Flowers for the beautiful centerpieces, Kathy and Sean and the team at Shaka Maxon, Reuven and Joe Rachmani from Reuben's Glock Kosher, and Pinchas from Elizabeth One Stop Kosher for all their support. And finally, a very special thank you to our dinner chair, John Walsman. This evening simply would not exist without his leadership, dedication, and tireless effort. From the big picture planning to the smallest details, John's care and commitment are evident in every part of the night. As we begin the formal part of our program, we are privileged to be able to do so with Divrei Bracha, words of blessing. First, we will hear from President Emeritus of Yeshiva University, Richard Joel, followed by Rabbi Dr. Ari Berman, President of Yeshiva University, who was not able to be here tonight, but wanted to share a video message. Please join me in welcoming Richard Joel to the podium.
Thank you very much. In conclusion, first and foremost, a mazel tov to the Pinskers, who I haven't had the pleasure of knowing, but have heard all about you this evening. So it's a wonderful tribute. I also have to say, to thank the community, but also to acknowledge the presence of one of my two Morei d'Asra, Rav Binyamin Blau, who is our Rav in Cleveland, and you should know how much this community should take credit for all that has come from Rabbi Blau in his development, both as an Elizabethan and as a Teitz and a Blau. And I just want you to know that Cleveland is thriving largely under his leadership, and I think that's very special. That's okay. I wasn't waiting for applause. We don't want to spoil our rabbis, do we? B'shus Harav. In 1925, I learned that Leonard Diner Zichrono Livracha arrived in New Jersey in 1925. 100 years later, we are honoring his daughter. It's about time. I mean, well, and I know that your family is here, and there's no better way to point to the success of Rabbi Teitz's dream than to look at your family and so many others here who have made things wonderful. And thank you all for your tuition to Yeshiva University. So years ago in Washington, D.C., I saw an inscription on a building that was very meaningful to me. It said the following: "There are only two lasting gifts that we can hope to bequeath to our children. One of them is roots. The other is wings." Marjorie has modeled the primacy of roots and wings for her entire life. Esther and I have shared the blessed goodness of her friendship. For 14 and a half years, I had the privilege of enjoying her leadership as a wonderful trustee of Yeshiva University and a spirit of support and warmth and guidance and integrity that I'm sure my successor experiences today. She shared her roots and wings passion with Yeshiva University, particularly in the areas that personified its alma mater, Torah U'Mad'a, insisting that the learning for her children be filled with Torah and make no excuses about academic excellence. So we know now if she were going today, she would say, Vassar, who needs Vassar? I have Stern. And she shared this passion with us. So she is a personification of Torah U'Mad'a, but in looking over yesterday's Sedra, I couldn't help but think about the other Jewish leader, Miriam HaNeviah. And we're taught that in her zechus, as long as she lived, there was a spring, there was water that would follow Bnei Israel wherever they went, sustaining Bnei Israel. So like Miriam, our Marjorie is a role model for commitment and leadership. You continue to sustain us, and you always will. Dear Marjorie, may Hashem grant you many years of good health, and may you continue to love and be loved by all of us. Mazel tov.
Chayil Miyimtza. At Yeshiva University, the answer to this is clear. Our Eishes Chayil is Marjorie Blenden. She is the most beloved leader in our community, a matriarch for our yeshiva, and someone for whom we deeply cherish, admire, and love. Congratulations, Marjorie, on this amazing honor. It is so fitting for you to receive the Rabbi Teitz Legacy Award, intertwining and linking to incredible leaders of the Jewish people. We are so happy for you and so thankful to you, Marjorie, for your leadership and for your inspiration and for your joy. There is no one who deserves this more than you. Congratulations. May you only see incredible bracha, blessing, nachas, and joy during this event and throughout your life.
Thank you, President Emeritus Joel and President Berman. Wow, what a difference a year makes. When we look back at this past year, it's hard not to be struck by just how much has happened in such a short amount of time. It's been a year filled with growth, energy, and connection. Over the past 12 months, we've welcomed over a dozen new families into our community. We've celebrated 5 births, 10 bar and bat mitzvahs, and 9 weddings, along with the joy of 6 new grandchildren. These moments are much more than milestones. They are signs of a living, thriving community. Throughout the year, learning remained at the heart of our shul. From daily daf yomi to kinyan masechta, from mishmar to bi-monthly women shiurim, we also created new opportunities for Torah study at every level. Our shul is a makam Torah that any community could be proud of, with learning taking place day and night. Our men's club and sisterhood played a vital role in strengthening our community. From the men's club popular kosher fish night and special events to the sisterhood's challah bakes, candle decorating programs, and learning opportunities, these groups created meaningful ways for people to connect and belong. We are especially proud of our youth and teen programming. From vibrant youth activities led by Isaac and Molly Horowitz to a strong and growing and quiet teen minyan led by Rabbi Avi Rosenbaum. Our young people continue to inspire us. Seeing them step forward, leading to tefillah, learning, and taking responsibility gives us great confidence in the future of our community. This kind of growth doesn't just happen by accident. It's sustained by people who understand that a community is built through commitment, care, and presence, and that what one generation builds, the next must carry forward. Tonight, we honor individuals who represent that living chain. Mrs. Marjorie Blenden embodies the value and dedication of those who helped establish this community and sustained it for decades. Shayna and Chaim Pinsker represent those who are actively building it today, showing up day after day to strengthen what we share. Though they come from different chapters of our story, they share a common belief that a kahila, a congregation, is not something we simply join, but something we build together. This evening, we are proud to honor Mrs. Marjorie Blenden, recipient of the Rav Eliezer Meir Teitz Legacy Award, and Shayna and Chaim Pinsker, recipients of the Alexander Krauss Service Award. Each, in their own way, reflects the dedication that has sustained this community across generations. Join us tonight as we journey through time, honoring the past and celebrating the present. We begin by celebrating Mrs. Marjorie Blenden and the foundation her family built. Everyone, please direct your attention to the screens.
AI is a small knit community. Even as it's grown over the years, it's always maintained that feel. And that is why there's always been assistance when those are in need.
I just remember when the ground was broken and how excited we were that the community had grown to the extent that it needed another significant shul. But that area of Elizabeth was becoming significant, and there was very much a Jewish presence there.
AI has been my home away from home. I've spent over 50 years in the shul as a teenager, as a single, as a married, as somebody has raised his children here.
When I think of AI, it's just an extension of me and my family.
It's a very different, very special community. It's kind of like an out-of-town, hidden secret, hidden jewel. People that come here for Shabbos are surprised. The warmth, the kindness, the openness that we all have. It's just one big family.
You'll see on an average Sunday morning, young boys going around and just putting away the Siddurim and Chumashim from Shabbos. You'll see them doing it without even being asked, as it's being ingrained in them by their parents and by the community.
I'm very proud of having raised a family here.
70 years is very big. It's a big number to say that we've been doing something for 70 years, we've built something for 70 years. And the question after 70 years in a community is always going to be, okay, how do we move forward? How do we go to the next 70 years? And I think that after reaching a milestone like this, there's a point of transition. Are we going to just wither away? Is the community just going to become another community? Or are we going to say, let's build off of what we've built? And I think honoring Marjorie speaks to this specifically. Being part of a family that laid the groundwork, the framework for this community, the shul in particular. Being there all those years ago, she can help be the lamppost, the guide to us to be able to build over the next 70 plus years.
Our entire shul owes an incredible debt of gratitude to Margie and her family, as they are true builders. They are true pillars of this community where we would not be here but for those like the Dieners and Margie.
What was so special about both Bea and Leonard Diener was that they were people of not only tremendous integrity and decency and values, but they were accepting of other people. You would never hear Lashon Hara from them. Never, never. That was not something that was on their radar. And yet, they had a very keen and intelligent understanding of people and their motives.
I would say a combination of integrity and chaim characterized the family. Tremendous truthfulness, tremendous caring for everybody, lots of empathy, and there's a reason that the whole family became so involved in so much Jewish life.
I know that Margie grew up in a family that was so important to the community in its early years. They were big supporters of the JEC and Rough Tights while her parents were alive. And then after her parents were alive, she would always be somebody who was respectful to the people that were in charge of the community, the rabbis. And she would always give tremendous advice that she picked up over the years from her family and what she learned in the outside world.
Marjorie is a role model to all of us. She just does things. She is incredible. And Marjorie likes to get involved in everything quietly. She contributes advice. She just has a tremendous wealth of wisdom, and she knows how to get things done.
It's not easy to translate the word chaim because it means gracefulness, pleasantness. If I had to sum up, I'd say that Margie is a balas chaim.
She's had her challenges in life and her tragedies, but she has risen above them, and she can help raise another person to go above anything that's a hardship in life because of her positive, very positive attitude.
Margie is the reason my family lives in this community. She and Shirley Weiss, Aleha Shalom, both met my mother in the Midwest when my family was rooted in New Orleans. Margie had mentioned this beautiful community here in New Jersey, as my parents were at that time going through their Balei Tshuva movement, and were looking for a community to raise their family. But for Margie, we would not have been here. We would not have continued that growth as a family. I have incredible hakar satov to Margie for that one incident many, many years ago in the 70s.
I'd have to describe Margie as one of the people in this world, in this community, that I would want my children to emulate. She is a wonderful, giving human being and has a sensitivity that's you can't describe. She is so good to everybody, and I really think that she's somebody to be emulated and looked up to.
Margie never say, I should. She does. She's a doer. But very, very, very discreet.
What happens when people stop saying I should and they say I can is that it changes the dynamic of a shul. As we finish Sefer Bereshis, we read about the avos, the imahos. They were people that didn't just talk the talk, as they say, they walk the walk. The Torah wants us not just to say things that, I should do X or I should do Y, I know what's right and I know what's wrong. But the Torah wants us to say, I can do it and I will do it. And I think that that's something that Marjorie has taught us, and that's something that we already learned from the Torah, from Sefer Bereshis, that our ancestors, they weren't just people that said I should, they were people that said I can, and by saying I can, they did.
I think Marjorie and her family have really created a legacy of giving and giving back to your community. And I hope that the community not only sees that and learns from it, but is able to replicate that in the future. Not just waiting to get things done, but to do them. And additionally, to always be there to assist the community in its endeavors.
If you were taught as a young child already to give tzedakah, to do things for the shul, to be active, it's going to continue with yourselves and also with your children going forward. Margie is a great representative of how that carries out.
When people stop saying, I should, and do it, it gets done. This is the true essence of who Marjorie Blenden is. She is a doer. She doesn't just talk about things, she gets them done. She has advice on how to do them. She gives advice on how to do them.
Margie never looked for the limelight. I am sure that for her to be the honoree was pulling teeth. But the only reason she would go along with it is that it would mean that she's setting an example to everybody else that you have to do. You just have to do. You can't sit back and let others do. You have to take up the shovel. You have to also dig. You also have to build.
I think if people step up together, not members of the board, not the rabbi, but people that are just congregants of the shul, if they were to step up together the way that Marjorie has, the shul would continue to grow by leaps and bounds. I think any shul that's run only by a select few has certain boundaries that they can't break. But if everyone decides they want to volunteer and help out a little, everyone feels like it's their shul, they're participating, they feel more connected to the shul, they feel more connected to each other, and ultimately to Hashem.
She's the most appropriate recipient of the Rav Elazar Meir Teitz Legacy Award. Rav Elazar Meir Teitz was the Rav in this shul for many, many decades. If there's anyone who is appropriate to receive the first ever award in his name, it's Marjorie Blenden. She really exemplifies that bridge from the community that helped build what we have and now handing it over to the next generation who can continue that growth and leadership. I could not think of anyone who would be more deserving of this award.
My bracha to Marjorie is continued nachas from her wonderful family, continued good health in Mitzvah Hashem, and to always know that hugs and kisses from her sisters are waiting for her.
She should continue to be healthy in every way, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Continue to do the incredible work that she does for our community, Yeshiva University community, the world.
I wish you much nachas from your children and grandchildren who I know you love so much. And I just hope that you see the greatest nachas from all of them and that you live a long life, healthy, and you're able to see the nachas from all of them going forward.
I want to wish Marjorie a bracha on behalf of myself, my family, the shul, that the same impression that she made on me the very first time I met her, she should make on everyone she meets, impacting people for the better. Her kindness should radiate throughout the entire community, and she should continue to see the building, the growth of our wonderful community with many, many, many years to come.
Emotional moment. An emotional moment to be paying tribute to a legendary woman, and the fact that it is the inaugural Rav Elazar Meir Teitz Zatzal Legacy Award makes it all the more appropriate and all the more fitting. We all just watched an incredible video that told us that which we already knew, that Marjorie Blenden is an exceptional woman and is therefore deserving of being the inaugural recipient of the Rabbi Elazar Meir Teitz Legacy Award. She's the perfect choice on two accounts. On the one hand, as was evident by the remarks by my mother, my aunt, the pictures with all the members of my family, her close relationship to the Teitz family spans generations. Her parents and my late grandparents were dear friends, and they were partners in the creation of our community. She grew up with my uncle, the Rav, as he's been known in the Adath Israel community, had the utmost respect and admiration for him, a feeling that was truly mutual. On a very personal level, growing up in Adath Israel and attending the JEC, the Jewish Educational Center, as a young man, she was someone whom I always treasured and whom I knew quite well, not only for her work in the community, but also because she was the mother of 3 sons, 2 of which I was in between. Larry and I go back quite a while, and I remember very fondly the boys as well. But on a deeper level, she's the ideal recipient for this award because she too embodies the character traits that defined Rav Elazar Meir Teitz Zatzal: loyalty, commitment, and a sincere passion for the well-being of the Adath Israel and the broader Elizabeth Hillside community, and dare I say, the Jewish people. Rav Teitz dedicated his life to continuing his parents' work. Like Yitzhak Avinu, he redug his father's wells while digging his own. He was fully committed to this community for over 70 years, even in his advanced years and even during his time in Israel. In fact, in the conversations he had right before his passing, he remarked how dealings with the issues of the yeshiva and the kehillah were those things that brought him chiyus. It brought him vitality and vibrancy. He worked tirelessly, not for his own glory, but purely l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven. Marjorie exhibits the same qualities. She has remained fiercely loyal to her parents' memory, even as she has added new chapters to their legacy. While we know of her involvement in many other worthy institutions, how often do you have the present president and the president emeritus of Yeshiva University speak on your behalf? Not that many people have that distinction, but nonetheless, she has remained committed to this kehillah, even still living in the same house. A few months ago, I spent time with Marjorie, and it was going back, okay, we're both very young, Marjorie, so it wasn't that many decades, even though it perhaps was about 5. Finally, she does her noble deeds with the purest of motives, never drawing attention to herself, but always with incredible grace. It is for all these reasons that I ask Marjorie Blenden to come up and receive the very first of Elazar Meir Teitz Legacy Award.
On behalf of the show, we present to you the Rav Elazar Meir Teitz Legacy Award. This gift was inspired by the paroches that hangs in front of our aron in the shul, which was dedicated in memory of your parents. The inscription reads, Congregation Adath Israel 70th Anniversary Dinner, Sunday, January 11th, 2026, the Rav Elazar Meir Teitz Legacy Award to Marjorie Blenden in recognition of your years of pioneering spirit and tireless devotion to the AI community. Your dedication has shaped our past and secured our future.
I'm speechless after having heard such lovely thoughts and such kind words from people that I admire and from people that I respect. There'll be no living with me now. I'll probably have to go out and buy a new hat because the head will be overwhelmed. But speechless is not usual for me, and as my friends will tell you. But I thank you, Richard, and I thank you, Binny. I thank everybody. I'm truly overwhelmed. I really am. And if I hadn't put on eye makeup, I would be in tears. However, I will tell you, and I'm so glad there's light here, I accept this honor in appreciation, in gratitude, and in humility, because it is given to me in the name of a man that I've respected, I've known most of my life, I've admired him, and I considered Elazar Meir, with his lovely wife Elisheva, to be dear and cherished friends of mine. In truth, my parents and his parents were best buddies. And in the days before cell phones and texts and emails, if you called someone and you got this strange noise, you knew that the phone was in use. Very often I would call my parents, and I would get that busy signal. And it wasn't my mother talking with her family, with her sisters, with my grandparents, or with friends. It was my father and the rabbi. And what were they talking about was the future of the Jewish community and the future of the JEC. And so, as friends, I would like to share, and you are all my friends now, although many of us have first met this evening, I would like to share a little secret with you. Now, Rabbi Elazar Meir, according to official records, was a single son with 5 sisters. Some years ago, his sisters voted to add one more to their number, and I am very proud to tell you that I am number 6, a title I carry with pride and with honor. But tonight I don't want to talk about me, although a little bit. I want to give you a short trip down memory lane and give you insight as to how we arrived at the 70th anniversary. Do you know that you are living in a city that is historically important? Elizabeth was founded in 1644 through a land grant of Lord Carteret. And the reason it's called Elizabeth is because Lord Carteret's wife was named Elizabeth. And did you know that the streets that you drive through, the walks that you take, the place could be where you live, are sites of battles that were fought during the Revolutionary War? And even more interesting than this is that Elizabeth was the first capital of the state of New Jersey, and that George Washington, on his way to New York to give his first speech on his inauguration, stopped in Elizabeth and gave a short speech here. And I have to tell you that tomorrow I'm going to make a call to Lin-Manuel Miranda, because when he wrote that wonderful show, Hamilton, for which I waited months for tickets, he neglected to mention that Alexander Hamilton went to school in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I was born in Elizabeth. I grew up here, except for a few years that my father and a cousin, Lou Liebman, a father of Dad's, bought a business, a factory in upstate New York the area was called Long Eddy. The name of the factory was the Long Eddy Chemical and Charcoal Company. What my father and Lou knew about chemicals and charcoal is up for grabs. We're not sure. But 3 years after we lived there, that had something to do with the town was on the banks of the Delaware River, and 3 years after we were living there, I don't know what they did, but the state of New York diverted the river somewhere here and there, and it was not good for business. So my father did what he always did. He went to the best. He went to New York and hired Paul, Weiss, Rifkin, and they sued the state of New York. And they won. And so we, who had been spending every weekend going from Long Eddy to Elizabeth and going back in time on Sundays, going Friday to Sunday, left Long Eddy and moved to Elizabeth. Now, in that time, Elizabeth had 3 shuls, 3 hospitals, 4 theaters. There were 3 of the 4 theaters. 2 were first-run movies. The second was what they call an art theater that shows Shakespeare and a couple of documentaries. And the other one, right, on Liberty Theater on Elizabeth Avenue, was a miniature Radio City. What they did was you saw a movie, and then they had a stage show with singers and dancers and everything that Radio City had. Now, in addition to that, Elizabeth had a Philharmonic orchestra, a very good Philharmonic orchestra, and it was conducted by a gentleman named August May, who lived actually in North Elizabeth on Sheridan Avenue. And it also had its own newspaper, the Elizabeth Daily Journal. The Sulzbergers had the New York Times. The Elizabeth Daily Journal had the Crane family. There were 3 shuls in town. There was Holcha Yosher, which is down at the port, down in Elizabeth Port, on the water. There was the Murray Street Shul that I never went to, so I don't know, but it was small. And then there was Beis Yitzhak. Beis Yitzhak was on Bellevue Street, very close to Warnenko Park. And that is where my grandparents and my whole family davened. My mother always told me that when Rabbi Pinchas Mordechai Teitz married Basha, I think it was Basha, Preil, they were married in Holcha Yosher. And the Jewish community stood outside because the shul is very small and not everyone, of course, could fit in. And they stood outside so that when the bride and groom emerged from the shul, they could all shout Mazel Tov. That shul is no longer in existence. Beis Yitzhak still is. It did not take long for the rabbi to meet with families in the community. And this is one thing that I wanted to bring out. These families, I would venture to say that no one in this room knows them or would remember the names. So I'm just going to give you a couple of names. There were the Levies, the Feldmans, the Frankels, the Weingartens, the Mannheims, the Kalishes, the Resnicks. It could go on and on. We would be here until tomorrow if I would give you all the names. But they met with the rabbi, and they explained to him that they wanted, Rabbi Teitz, that they wanted to make this a viable, vibrant community, Jewish community. And he said, okay, so the first thing you have to do is you have to build a proper synagogue. All right, where do you build the synagogue? Well, the JEC, or the community, had a small house, 330 Elmore Avenue, and that house housed a Talmud Torah. If you don't know what a Talmud Torah was, it was a place where children, after they finished the public school at 3 o'clock, would go to learn how to read and how to write Hebrew. They didn't learn anything else. I know, because by the time I came back, there was no yeshiva, and I would go home after school. My mother would give me some milk and her delicious chocolate cake. She was a great baker. And I would drop my books and go to Talmud Torah. I learned to read Hebrew. I learned to write Hebrew. Had no idea what I was reading or what I was writing. So while we were there, and when we moved back, my father and mother bought some land, Morristown Road and Park Avenue, near the shul, after the shul was built, the big one. And they were about to close on the purchase when my father's lawyer called him. He was Judge Frank Sauer. And he said to my dad, there'll be no closing. The closing was 2 days away. Daddy said, what? What happened? The woman who was selling the land discovered that my parents were Jewish, and she didn't want to sell to a Jew. So Dad got very upset. Judge Sauer said, don't worry. I told you, Dad only went to the best. He said, don't worry. My wife will buy the land, and then she'll sell it to you. And that's how we came to live on Morristown Road and Park Avenue. But the rabbi, after they built this beautiful building at 330 Elmora Avenue, tore down the old house, built the building, the rabbi said, what you have to do now is you have to make a yeshiva. I said, a yeshiva in Elizabeth? A yeshiva's in Brooklyn, a yeshiva's in the Lower East Side, maybe even in Queens, but Elizabeth, New Jersey, he said, you will not have a viable Jewish community unless you build a yeshiva. And you have to teach the students all the things that a yeshiva does. So they did what they had done when they built the big building of the JEC. They donated, they raised money, they secured a mortgage, and they built the yeshiva. Well, the yeshiva went from kindergarten to grade 8, and they inserted another year. Normally, your kindergarten is 5, and your first grade is 6. They started kindergarten at 4 because the rabbi felt that children had to learn a double curriculum. They had to learn the English and they had to learn the Hebrew, and so they needed an extra year. And I understand, and will you correct me if I'm wrong, that there still is a primer in the JEC? Yes? I guess so. I guess so. So I want to tell you now, we have a problem. We have a school, it's being built, you need students. Where are you going to get students? Parents who have been getting education for their children free public school, and they now have to pay tuition. You have to prove to them that it's worthwhile. So how do you do that? You advertise. You advertise in the local papers, you advertise in the local radio station, and you have parlor meetings. I want to tell you what happened at one of our parlor meetings. It was in my house. It was advertised to start at 8 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, I'm still cleaning up the kitchen, getting ready. And also, you always advertised you would serve coffee and cake. This is a good thing to have. So I was finishing and the doorbell rang, and I said to Joel, maybe somebody is early. Just take them into the living room and have them and seat them, and I'll be right out. So he went, he opened the door, and said, came into the kitchen a few minutes later and said, they're the first 2 people to come, but Marjorie, they're black. So I immediately went in, said, welcome, and would you like some coffee and cake, because the dining room was set? And they said, no, we know we're early, we'll just sit and wait. And I can still see them sitting by the piano at one end of the living room. Well, eventually other people came, and we had about 35 people, and Rabbi Preil, who was the principal at that time, came and sat at the opposite side of the room by the fireplace, and he told them all the wonderful things that came with giving your child a Jewish education. When he finished, he looked around, he said, are there any questions? And one of the women raised her hand, and she said, would you accept a non-Jewish child to your school? Without not a moment's hesitation, Rabbi Preil said, of course we would. However, the parents would have to understand that he could not bring ham and cheese sandwiches to school. He would have to eat whatever we have. They would have to understand that he would learn to pray in Hebrew the way we do, observe the Sabbath the way we do, and also to celebrate our holidays, Passover, Hanukkah, Purim. But if parents would want their children to have that kind of an education, of course we would welcome them. And then he said, do you mind if I ask a question? And they said no. And he said, are you interested in sending your children to the JEC? And the woman, I can still see her, she smiled, and she said, Rabbi, I am from the NAACP, and my friend is from the Urban League. They had come to see if we were racist. And we passed with flying colors. Rabbi Preil aced the test, and we passed. But I have never forgotten it. I have never forgotten it. And afterwards, when I invited everybody to come into the dining room for coffee and cake, I asked her if they would like to join us. And she said no. She said, we knew what we were coming for, and we thank you very much. And I never saw them ever again. Well, now the yeshiva is up to the 8th grade. What comes next? Rabbi says, you got up to the 8th grade. What are you going to do? We have to have a high school. So what did they do? The same people, the Feldmans, the Levys, the Kalishes, etc., the Frankels, everybody got together. They donated a little more. They raised some more money. They secured another mortgage. And lo and behold, we have a boys' high school. In fact, our school at that time had a Boy Scout troop. The Boy Scout troop, all Boy Scout troops have numbers. What do you think the number of the JEC Boy Scout troop was? 613, exactly. And they did everything that all the other scouts do. They went on jamborees, they went all over. Only our boys brought their own food, their own utensils. They brought their own siddurim, and the rabbi got for them a small Torah. So when they went over a Shabbos, they were able to daven properly. And it was a wonderful thing. They had uniforms. Everybody was very happy. Rami Tights, Elazar Meir's son, and Eliyahu Tights were also part of the Boy Scout troop. When they had the high school, though, I must tell you this, that it was difficult in the beginning to find a proper faculty. The Hebrew faculty was no problem, but the English. Because you had to, where could you find, sitting around waiting for you to hire them, teachers for calculus, teachers for trig, teachers for biology, teachers for chemistry. So what they did is they made a deal with the teachers in the local high schools. And what they did is after they finished teaching their classes, they came and they taught in the JEC. And this happened up until they were able to provide a proper faculty. Now, you need money. Tuition doesn't cover everything. And so you have to raise money. The sisterhood, that's what they did. They raised money not for the shul, only for the yeshiva. And one of their biggest fundraisers was something called a bazaar. They worked a whole year. They collected merchandise, toys, books, records, whatever they could, and from wherever they could. And they had this big bazaar before Christmas and before Hanukkah. In fact, I'll tell you, we were in Florida. I was talking to a young couple named Nussbaum, Charlie and Norma Nussbaum. Charlie should rest in peace. And we're talking what we're doing, et cetera, about our children. And my mother came over and she sat down and she said to Charlie, Charlie, what do you do? Charlie says, I manufacture men's shirts. Well, you know what happened? It didn't take long, and my station wagon went to Charlie's factory and picked up shirts. But it was a tremendous success, the bazaar. It ran over the weekend and on, I think, Monday and Tuesday, and there were puppet shows for children so their parents could do the shopping. There was Rabbi Goldenberg was the caterer. He brought food so you could come and have lunch or have dinner, and people waited. Non-Jews and Jews, non-Jews for Christmas and Jews for Hanukkah, to do their shopping. Now, my brother's here, my brother Larry. I don't want to embarrass him, but I have to tell you a cute story. I don't know if he was in the 4th grade or the 5th grade, I don't remember, but he took some of his Hanukkah money and he bought a tie. And he brought it home and he showed it to my parents, and he was very proud of that tie. And it was a white tie. And my mother said, Larry, why did you buy a white tie? And Larry said, because white goes with everything. And you know what? He was right. It does. Now, you have a boys' high school, an elementary school for both boys and girls. Well, what do you need? You need a girls' high school. And this time my parents stepped up to the plate again. There was a house for sale on North Avenue. They bought the house with the surrounding area, and so that there should be a girls' high school. And my father engaged, because he was so He was intimately involved in everything. I think he was chairman of the board by that time. He engaged an architect by the name of Harold Glucksman. Harold was a very, very good architect, but he was very, very busy. He had done work for my dad and for a lot of other people. So when they decided that the mikveh should be in the girls' high school, Harold didn't have time to do it. So he gave it to his partner. His partner was Salvatore Guzzo, a very proper Italian Catholic. And Sal did a great job. The mikveh is wonderful. And I would tell you that I would guarantee that within a radius of 100 or even 1,000 miles, there was no other Italian Catholic architect who knew how to make a proper mikveh. So the girls, it was built and everything was fine. Now, Rabbi Teitz, Elazar Meir too, but his father, was a very dapper gentleman. He was a handsome man. He always dressed beautifully, aided and abetted by the local store, Nadelson Brothers, who specialized in men's clothes. And he drove a black Lincoln. Members of his board saw to it that he always had a fairly new black Lincoln. So, and he used to, in the winter, wear a black overcoat with a little velvet collar. They called it a Chesterfield, and a black Homburg. Now, there was in town a couple that was getting married. The boy was a congregant of the JEC and of Rabbi Teitz, and the girl came from an assimilated family. That was fine, but they were having a problem because the boy wanted Rabbi Teitz to officiate at his wedding. And the bride was not very happy. She had an idea, or her idea of a Orthodox rabbi was someone with a large hooked nose, with payas down to here, with rather unkempt look about him. And so she said, this is not what she wanted at her wedding. And he kept saying, no, he wants a Rabbi Pinkus Teitz to officiate. Well, they were, because you were all from North Avenue and Elizabeth, you'll know what I'm talking about. There is a traffic light at the corner of Westminster Avenue and North Avenue. And they were about to make a left turn, so they were in the left-hand lane of the street, and they were stopped at the red light. And another car came, a black Lincoln, rolled up next to them on the right-hand side. And the girl, if you're sitting in the car waiting for the light to change, you look to see who's in the car next to you. And there was this man with a small Van Dyke beard, black Homburg, and a black little velvet collar she could see. And she looked at her fiance and she said, now, if your rabbi looked like that, I would have no objection. So he said to her, honey, roll down the window. She rolled down the window and he looked and he said, that is my rabbi. So the rabbi officiated, they got married and lived happily ever after. There are more stories that I could tell you about how the JEC came. Oh, I have one more, I almost forgot. This had to do with naming the girls' school. And being that my father and the rabbi were buddies, and being that my dad had worked so hard, he worked hard on every building, but he worked harder apparently on the brewery. Oh, I gave it away. He worked harder. The rabbi said, maybe we could name it after your parents. My father's father had been wounded by a Russian bullet. This is in Europe. And the bullet didn't do the damage, but they ran and they got fabric to stem the blood, and the fabric had been dyed. And he died of blood poisoning from the fabric. In fact, my father, until his last breath. You couldn't give him a Kleenex that had color in it. Everything had to be absolutely white. But that was Dad's father, my grandfather, and my grandmother, Hitler took care of her and the rest of the family. So the rabbi said, what's the name? Their names. My grandfather was named Baruch, and my grandmother was Chaya. If you take it and you say it very quickly, it's Baruch Chaya, which like is Bruria, and that's why the school was called Bruria. So as I say, I could give you more stories, but time is of the essence, and I want to live time to my compatriots at this dinner, to Chaim, and to Chaya, the Pinskers. So I will tell you that there is one more story. One day, there were there were riots in Newark, and the Jews in Newark started to move to North Elizabeth. It was a neighboring and a fairly close association. And the rabbi said, you know, we really should have a shul in North Elizabeth. And they investigated, and he and my father spent hours on the phone, back and forth, back and forth. Finally said, okay, we're going to call a board meeting, and we're going to put it before the board. Now, at the time that they did that, the papers were full of stories about a senator from South Carolina by the name of Sam Rayburn. Sam Rayburn would officiate at a Senate meeting or even at a political convention. Say he was at the political convention, and he would say, tomorrow I want everybody, is my birthday, I want everybody to wear a green tie or to wear something green. All those in favor say aye. Like hardly anybody said anything. All those against say nay. Big roar from the convention floor, nay. At which point Sam Rayburn would do this. The ayes carry it. Tomorrow everybody wears something green. All right, we're at the board meeting of the JEC. The rabbi explains why it's important to build a North Avenue shul. And there is a discussion that comes between the members back and forth, and then the rabbi says, okay, let's make a vote. All those in favor of building a new shul, North Avenue, raise their hand. 3 hands went up. One was the rabbi's, the second was my father's, and the third was my uncle Jesse Weisberg. All those opposed, and of course the rest of the board, raised their hand. The rabbi hit the table. He said, the motion is carried. Tomorrow we start to build the North Avenue shul. So it's part of my life, and I must tell you I am still overwhelmed and a little shaky for all the very kind and the lovely things that people have said about me. I hope I deserve at least 1/10 of them. And Richard, I have something to talk to you about. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, I need help.
Here's your cane.
Thank you, and I need 2 hands.
Yeah, I'll go on the other side. Once again for Mrs. Marjorie Blenden here. Thank you, thank you. Marjorie, you saved an age-old riddle for at least my family. I never knew what primer was, so thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate the clarification. And I know I'm new to being a chairman of the shul, but Rabbi Steinmetz, I apologize. We are also not getting you a black Lincoln, so that is not happening tomorrow. And we are already voted no at the board meeting for that, okay? Thank you so much, Marjorie, for your words and the legacy of your family. We can give you a chance to get there. It's okay. You remind us of that everything we have today was built by those who came before us, people who had vision, commitment, and the courage to invest in something bigger than themselves. Marjorie and her family, the Dieners, the Weisbergs, and the Blendens, represent that foundation. A foundation is meant to be built upon. And that's why tonight, when we think about how to honor the present, Shayna and Chaim Pinsker are the perfect example. They see the solid foundation that was laid and know how to make it stronger, how to make it greater, not just with programs or projects, but through the consistent presence, care, and commitment to making our community thrive. The Pinskers bring vibrancy and energy that keeps our kahila alive and growing every single day. We've already spoken about this past year's accomplishments, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. And everything you're about to see, the programs, the learning, the growth, happened because of people like Shayna and Chaim who step up and make it possible. Please direct your attention to the screens.
מזמור לתודה, הריעו להשם כל הארץ, עבדו את השם בשמחה, בואו לפניו ברננה. דעו כי השם הוא אלוקים, הוא עשנו ולא אנחנו, עמו צאן מרעיתו, בואו שער בתודה. חצרותיו בתהילה, הודו לו, ברכו שמו, כי טוב השם לעולם חסדו, ועדו ועדו אמונתו. מזמור לתודה, הריעו להשם כל הארץ, עבדו את השם בשמחה, בואו לפניו ברננה. חצרותיו בתהילה, הודו לו, ברכו שמו, כי טוב השם לעולם חסדו, ועדו ועדו אמונתו. לה 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 לה, thank you השם. לה 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 לה, thank you השם. הגעתי לפה אחרי הכל, ולא התייאשת ממני, על המשפחה, על הפרנסה, הכל ממך, thank you השם. אני יכול לסמוך עליך, בורא הכל, thank you השם. אין מה לדאוג, אין מה לחשוב, אני פה איתך, thank you השם. לה 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 לה
האדרס ויו אמונו לך יולמים, הפינו והברוכון לך יולמים, הקייבו והגדולו לך יולמים, הדאו והדיבור לך יולמים. מי הוא זה ואיזה הוא, זה קיילי ויעמהו. מי הוא זה ואיזה הוא, זה קיילי ויעמהו. למי לך יולמים, צובמן לך יולמים. למי לך יולמים, לבפונך ששמת חלקי מיובו ישבי ביס המדבר
As you just saw, this has been an incredible year for our community. And what you saw was only possible because of people who take responsibility and make things happen. Tonight, we have the privilege of honoring individuals whose actions speak louder than any words we can offer them. Shayna and Chaim Pinsker joined our community 13 years ago. And from the start, they brought a philosophy that shaped our shul. If you see a problem, fix it. If something bothers you, step up. And do it not just for your family, but for the entire community, because our children are watching. And that's exactly what they've done. Shayna leads our youth committee and played a vital role in the rabbinic search process. Chaim runs Perek on the lawn, coordinates the Rosh Chodesh learning, and makes sure we never run out of tissues in the shul. Their home is always open, always, to host onegs, to have guests, for anyone who needs it. But, in my personal opinion, their greatest accomplishment happened in May of 2018. It wasn't the programming, the committees, or even the endless hospitality. It was something far more significant, something that changed the trajectory of our community. Hosting my family, the Gottesmans, for lunch when we were checking out the community. Clearly, the persuasive powers are unmatched. You see, to the Pinskers, it's never about simply participating. It's about building and strengthening and inspiring everyone around them. They know how to bear down when it matters and never settle. They are constantly pushing from good to better and making sure we go from better to best. Shayna and Chaim, Yael and I are truly honored to call you friends. I want to show a special appreciation to Jake, Nina, Noah, and Zach, and all of your family joining us this evening. Shayna and Chaim are model the chesed and the roll-up-your-sleeves attitude embodied by our dear friend Alex Krauss, Ola Shalom. Please join me in welcoming Yehuda Pinsker to introduce his aunt and uncle, the Alexander Krauss Service Award recipients.
Rishos Dol Rabbanim, esteemed guests, and of course our guests of honor, it is my honor to be speaking at the 70th Annual AI Dinner. I would like to thank the dinner committee for putting together an incredible program for us tonight. It has really been a beautiful event celebrating our shul and community. Before I begin, I would like to first acknowledge Mrs. Marjorie Blenden, recipient of the Rav Elazar Meir Teitz Zatzal Legacy Award and a longtime neighbor of mine. Because of the way the geography works out, Marjorie and my family share a neighbor between us, Carmen Fernandez, who is a really wonderful person. Carmen, however, is always quick to point out to us that, quote, Mrs. Blenden is by far my favorite neighbor. She is the best by a long shot. And then I told Carmen that my favorite neighbor was Dovi Abraham, so now we're even. But it is truly a privilege to have someone as courageous and leading as you are as part of our community for so long, and I wish you continued health, simcha, and nachas for you and your entire family. There are a few people in a community who are the heavy lifters, the ones who do the hard work, who will hear other people out, who will go to the end of the world to do something for someone or to feel empathy for someone in need and act upon it. The ones who put a smile on everyone's face when they walk in the room. I am, of course, referring to my uncle, Tzvi Pinsker. Tzvi, however, is not a member of the shul, and therefore we gave the honors to Chaim and Shayna, who are very worthy recipients of the Alex Krauss Service Award in their own right. Chaim and Shayna have now lived in the Hillside community for 13 years and have made a tremendous impact in all of our lives. Their boundless chesed and outreach in nearly every part of our community is felt and seen on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. Chaim and Shayna actually initially started on the Lower East Side for a few years. Shayna, being from out of town, said, "Wow, this must be one of those vibrant, growing in-town communities they always talk about." Anyways, they moved to Hillside when they lost the 10th man at the Minyan. Another old East Sider moving to Elizabeth. But they hit the ground running when they came to the community. There was a trait I believe they picked up living on the East Side, that if they wanted to get stuff done, they had to step up. And step up they did. Chaim and Shayna, in one way or another, are involved in nearly every aspect of our community. And I'd like to spotlight a few of these things that they do. When Shayna was put on the rabbinic search committee last year, I was eager to know the ins and outs of the decision process, and I begged her to leak me the hawk on who the new rabbi was going to be. After a while, she eventually gave in, and I got some info. She said it was a redhead who's a great speaker and a teacher of Torah, and in addition to being a warm and welcoming person from a terrific family, he was also the star of his basketball team. Needless to say, I turned down the offer. But I'm very happy that Shayna and the committee's choice, Blenden Rabbi Steinmetz, who along with the Steinmetz Mishpacha has been a great source of light, warmth, and inspiration for all of us. Shayna, your help in bringing the Rav into the community has had a great effect on all of us that we continue to be grateful for. Chaim is always willing to pitch in with anything the shul might need. He could be fixing things that need repair around the building or organizing the next Rosh Chodesh breakfast, or more recently, helping with our security measures. With the unprecedented times that we're living through, it has become ever so clear how prepared we must be to stand up for our brothers and defend ourselves against those who may want to cause harm to us. Chaim has been going ahead of the curve on the security front, training Jakey in martial arts in the middle of Psukei de Zimra for the past 10 years. For those who don't get it, the joke here is that Chaim wasn't sure for Psukei de Zimra. There's a joke here about a pot and a kettle, but yeah. Yeah, we have AI Fight Club. Its main card is Jakey versus Chaim, and undercard is my card versus Amir Manzan. I also wanted to point out a little less known part of what Shayna does that is super, super impressive to me, and really exemplifies the bigger pattern of what they both do. For those who don't know, when Shayna graduated Stern and married Chaim, she took a job at her company at a starter position. Slowly but surely, over time, she built herself up and slowly climbed the corporate ladder, and she stuck with it. It has now been more than 10 years, and Shayna has been in the same place, steadily advancing her career. It's a very impressive feat and commitment that I truly admire. She started all the way at the bottom, and now she holds the position of chair of the youth committee. What an incredible message for us. See, Isaac and Molly, with enough grit, effort, and determination, you too can go far if you stick it out. But really getting down to the root of it. You know what makes Chaim and Shayna great? Chaim and Shayna are doers. They see a problem and they want to fix it. There's no time for questions. There's a problem that needs to be solved or a void that needs to be filled, and Chaim and Shayna are ready to do it. We need someone to manage the youth department. Shayna's on it. We need someone to run the accounts for Koloni Yachad. Chaim is on it. There's something about getting a thank you text from your uncle after giving a charitable donation that kind of feels like a HIPAA violation in a weird way, but we'll run with it. Their house is the center of the community, not because of geography, but because it is open to the community. And we all know it, and we've all benefited from it. Literally dozens of onegs and Parak on the Lawns have been hosted at their house over the years, not to mention the fact that they organize and run the entire Parak on the Lawn program. I knew families checking out the community, more likely than not, they're staying at Chaim and Shayna. Because if you want to know what Hillside and AI are all about, then who better to show you than the Pinskers? The other Pinskers, yeah. There are countless things, even outside of the shul, that they do for the school and the greater community. They helped furnish the middle school lounge in JEC so the boys could have a place to chill. Chaim and Shayna recently got a new car, and they decided on another Yukon XL, which is about the same size as an Escalade, for those who don't know cars. They could have downsized to a smaller car, but I know that a large part of that decision was, well, if we have a bigger car with more trunk space, we'll be able to carpool more kids to hockey practice with all their equipment. It's truly boundless chesed. I see it even in my own personal life. Chaim and Shayna chipped in to get me my first music production laptop, and now I work full-time in music production. I have a great Akarsa Tov for them. And if you're following the trail, it means that all those Thank You Hashem songs that are driving you up the wall because your kids won't stop singing them, that's Chaim and Shayna's fault. In last week's and this week's coming Parsha, we are shown that Moshe Rabbeinu is a doer. He sees an injustice being done to his people, and he steps in to help. When Moshe is by the sneh receiving his mission, Hashem's anger, Kaviyachol, flares up at Moshe Rabbeinu for resisting to lead the people. In part because Hashem knows what he's capable of. You are a doer. I know you have it in you to be a leader and a person of action. Why are you asking me questions? Go and help your people. The midah of Nasav and Nishma, that we do and then we listen, that we do it first, we go proactively, is literally in our bones. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that this week's Parsha is the Bar Mitzvah Parsha of the namesake of this award, Alex Krauss, who I split this Parsha with many times because it's also my Bar Mitzvah Parsha. Alex was a doer, someone who took on responsibility for his community and showed up. There weren't questions asked. There was something that needed to be done, and he did it. The exact same thing can be seen with Chaim and Shayna with everything they do. I had the privilege of driving Rav Taitz Zatzal before his Batir on a couple of long trips, and he noted on multiple occasions to me how the Mila of Hillside and AI is that it's stocked to the brim with world-class Balabatim and families who are devoted to their community and to their shul, and they do it with heart. Chaim and Shayna are the prime example. This past Friday night, we had an oneg and a learning program with Rabbi Shulman's yeshiva, which was beautiful. And after it was over, one of the brachim asked me, so I don't understand, is everyone that lives here in Askin? And I answered, yeah, pretty much. It doesn't matter if it's a big thing like hosting an oneg or something as small as getting people into dancing on Simchas Torah or doing Mishnah Yomis after davening. Chaim and Shayna step up because they understand there is a responsibility and they rise to the occasion. They show the rest of us how it's done. We can reminisce about the past and complain about everything that's not exactly the way we want it to be in the present, but complaining doesn't get anything done. We can wait for someone to buy tissues for the shul, or we can do it. We can wait for someone to run the youth department, or we can do it. We build the future we want to live in. And there's nobody I can think of that exemplifies this more than Chaim and Shayna, and it is my honor to present the Alex Krauss Service Award to them. You should continue to have a success, happiness, and nachas from your children, your whole family, and specifically your nephew, and continue to help this community thrive and move upwards towards Geula B'Meir B'Yameinu.
Round of applause as Shayna and Chaim come up stage. On behalf of the shul, we present to you the Alexander Krauss Service Award. The inscription reads, to Shayna and Chaim Pinsker, in recognition of your unparalleled commitment to your shul, your tireless service and endless contributions, often behind the scenes, are a model for us all. You have made an indelible mark in your community and are a true inspiration.
Thank you. If I did one thing right, it was asking Yehuda to introduce us. Thank you very much, Yehuda. That was amazing. Happy birthday, Yehuda and Adina. And he's single. Okay? When we got a late night visit to inform us that Shayna and I were being honored this year, my first thought was, wow, they must have run out of actual candidates. Honestly, I was shocked. When I told Jake, he said, oh no, you always tell me how great the kids speak about their parents at dinner. How am I to speak about you guys? You don't actually do anything. He was relieved when I told him that they retired the kids' speeches this year. Before we talk about ourselves, we need to acknowledge the real star tonight, Marjorie Blenden. Marjorie, your family story is one of resilience, leadership, and unwavering commitment to the Jewish people. From your parents' legacy to your own incredible work with Yeshiva University, Israel Bonds, and so much more, you've shown what it means to live a life of Torah and Chesed. The growth of this shul and the surrounding community has been so important to you. Looking around here tonight, it's clear how much has been accomplished. I've lived in the greater community for 40 years. Growing up in Elizabeth, Hillside was the other side of town, where only a handful of kids from school lived. AI was struggling for growth, and the future felt uncertain. Then, when I was in high school, I witnessed the neighborhood take a huge turn as the apartments filled with young families, including my own brother and sister-in-law. The growth was so significant that the shul had to not remove walls in the entrance just to make room for all the strollers. That growth was a continuation of the community building work done by the Diener and Blenden families, and it eventually led us to call Hillside our home. Today, the apartments are filling up with young families again, and the shul continues to be a communal hub for learning and socialization. Just last week, on New Year's Day, our shul was packed for breakfast and shir. The parking lot filled way beyond capacity. The legacy your family began is alive and thriving, and that's something we can all take pride in. Your communal activities have touched us far beyond Hillside. After JC, I learned in Israel on the Boys Town Jerusalem campus. And while Shayna was in seminary on Shaarei Tzedek's campus, two organizations you've been involved with for years. Later, we both attended Yeshiva University and Stern, institutions that have benefited from your influence. Shayna and I are honored to share the stage with you tonight, even if we're really just the closing act. The idea of building and continuity brings us to the Torah. Yesterday, we began Sefer Shemos, where we see the birth of Moshe's leadership. It all started with small acts of chesed. Yocheved hiding her baby to give him life, Miriam watching over him in the river, and Batya reaching out with compassion to save a child she didn't know. Each of these acts seem simple in the moment, but together, they set Moshe on the path to his ultimate destiny as the leader who would redeem Am Yisrael. Leadership begins with caring for others, especially the next generation. Shayna's work with our community's youth and our joint efforts to create Torah-centric opportunities reflect that same value, investing in the future of Am Yisrael. I can't give a speech without somehow tying in our Mishnah Yomi program. Last week, we began learning Erechin, which teaches us about communal giving. The general funds for the Karbonos of the Beis Mikdash came from the mandated half-shekel donation each person gave annually. All of the other costs of the Bedek Habayis were covered by personal donations. It reminds us that building community isn't just about the big donations. It's about everyone contributing what they can. Sometimes that's hosting a shir or an oneg. Sometimes it's organizing Kiddush. And sometimes it's making sure there are tissues in shul. What we're being recognized for tonight isn't one huge endeavor. It's small acts of stepping up to make our shul and community the best it can be. Alex Krauss, who this award is named after, was similarly involved in so many aspects of shul life, helping the community grow and thrive in any way he could. If we all pitch in a little, where we can, together our community will continue to soar to even greater heights.
This Shabbos, we read about a Jewish guy wandering in the desert who found a tree and started talking to it. But believe it or not, this isn't a unique story in Jewish literature. The Gemara in Tanis, Hey Amud Beis, recounts a mashal from Rabbi Yitzchak. A man lost in the desert finds a tree with fruit, shade, and flowing water. Saved, he asks the tree, how can he bless it? The tree lacks nothing. It already has everything. So the man blesses it that all its offsprings should be like it. The ultimate bracha is the continuation of an amazing legacy. Chaim and I aren't up here by chance, and neither is Marjorie. It is a legacy that has been ingrained into us. It is something that we have seen day in and day out and have learned by example. My parents' dedication to the communal life in Columbus was always visible. As soon as I was old enough, my dad stepped up to create the first local soccer program for me and my friends, that had games on Sunday instead of Shabbos. The result of this was the first middle school and high school's team in our history, where he coached me every year until I graduated and continued on to coach my siblings as well. This team is still going on today because of his dedication and initiative to create something for the community. Even now that we are all graduated, he continues to help the community and can likely be found in the shul kitchen helping for some kiddush or some Yom Tov event. My mom was the same way. If my class needed a parent to drive for a trip or a lunch outing, she was always the first to volunteer. Before every practice or game, when my friends needed a place to hang out after school, our home was open, truly open. And instead of the standard pre-soccer pretzel bag, she served gourmet waffles and syrup every time. These gestures might seem small, but they shaped us. They taught us what it looks like to give, to host, and they guide us as parents now and as members of our community. And then there are Chaim's parents. What can I even say? Avi has been the gabbai at Almora for 40 years. If one of our kids forgets a notebook at school, chances are Zadie is already in the building giving a shiur, in minyan, or helping with something. And yes, he has absolutely rescued the forgotten homework more than once. Rivki has done everything: women's division, PTA, Kiddush Club, the shul board, and now every week she calls to ask which grandkid wants to join her at the Y to pack boxes for JFS. She's teaching them quietly, consistently, how to show up for others. Shady and Yossi have clearly followed this legacy. Their involvement in the shul, the school, the mikveh, Kulani Achad, the Y, you name it, they're a part of it. I honestly don't think there's a single local initiative they haven't touched since I've known them. And of course, Leonard and B. Diener, names known well around here, helped build Jewish life in the Elizabeth and JEC, welcoming families that founded this community. The prestigious award that Marjorie has received, the Rav Teitz Legacy Award, similarly represents the generational greatness. Rav Pinchas Teitz Zatzal put so much effort into establishing our community, and Rav Elazar Meir carried on that legacy. Everyone here in this room has received some benefit from the effort of the Teitz legacy, and hopefully we can all be as offspring of the community they nurtured. It's amazing to see this bracha in action. When people step up to do chesed, it inspires even more chesed. We hope to share some of the light given to us by our parents and pray that we're worthy of the same bracha, that our children reflect these values even more strongly. We are starting to see them step up as well. Jake wants to lane in Teen Minyan every week, and Nina is signing up to be a group leader on Shabbos as often as she can. May they both continue to follow in our family's footsteps and help guide Noah and Zach as they grow in the shul. Together as a family and as a community, we can all carry these legacies into the future. We would like to also thank the dinner committee. This event is a huge undertaking, and they have dedicated countless volunteer hours to ensure that everything is as smooth as can be. Thank you for all of your efforts. There's more.
We're grateful. We're grateful to be part of a community that embodies these values every day. Thank you to the shul leadership, our friends, and everyone who makes this place feel like home. May we continue to grow together with Torah, Chesed, and maybe even a few more boxes of tissues.
Put your hands together for Shayna and Chaim Pinsker. Tonight, we've celebrated the foundation that generations before us built with vision and sacrifice. We've honored those who continue that work today. We've honored the past and the present. But a thriving community doesn't just preserve what came before it. It reaches forward with courage and conviction, building towards a future worthy of the foundation we stand on. This past year marked an important chapter under the leadership of Rabbi and Rebbetzin Steinmetz. In his second year with us, Rabbi Steinmetz has become a constant presence in our community, teaching daily shiurim, being there for every simcha and difficult moment, and making himself available whenever our families need guidance or support. Whether it's a bris at dawn, a shiva call in the evening, or simply being present when it matters most, Rabbi Steinmetz has shown what it means to be fully invested in the life of this kehillah. And shared leadership never stands alone. It's strengthened by partnership and shared vision. Eliana has brought that life to life in so many ways. She supports our rabbi in his leadership, creating space for his work to flourish while building her own meaningful connections throughout our community. She's opened up her home, hosting families to get to know everyone on a more personal level. She leads Tat Shabbat, where our youngest members and their moms experience the warmth of Shabbos and community. Through the Bat Mitzvah Club, she's helped our young women prepare for one of the most meaningful moments of their lives. And through her Kala classes, she's guided brides with wisdom and care as they start new chapters. Together, Rabbi Steinmetz and Eliana have helped shape a culture rooted in learning, connection, and care, modeling what it means to lead with both knowledge and heart. As we look ahead, there's no better person to hear from than Rabbi Steinmetz. He sees both who we are as a community and who we can become. His leadership shapes us, his wisdom grounds us, and his vision points us forward. It is my honor to invite Rabbi Shimi Steinmetz to share his reflections with us.
B'shus l'Rabbanim,
dignitaries, esteemed guests, and honorees, I want to begin by echoing the Akaras Hatov, the gratitude that's been stated before, but particularly singling out John Walsman again for all the work you do for the dinner committee, and Josh Gottesman for not only emceeing but sharing in that burden. Them two, along with the entire dinner committee and even those who were not on the dinner committee, spent countless hours, late nights, really trying to ensure that this dinner ran smoothly. It was impactful for each and every one of us and respectable for the honorees. So thank you. Last year, at my first AI Shul dinner, I discussed what I envisioned as three major themes, categories, components that make up our shul, what they are, and what will ensure our continued qualitative growth. The first category I mentioned was Masora, tradition. Our shul is unique in the sense that we have such a strong tradition in this community, in spirit, in minhagim. This component is pivotal to continue to grasp onto. And if we want to forge a brighter path forward, we must never forget the past. When Eliana and I decided to come to the shul, one reason we came is because we were not building something from the ground up. There was already a foundation that was laid. We were coming to build on top of an established shul and an established community. We knew that to build and grow, we must take heed of what had already happened, the tradition of the community. The foundation was laid by the likes of Marjorie and her family, alongside of Pinchas Teitz Zatzal. Marjorie Blenden, our first honoree, represents everything that our first component of our shul entails. She is that Masorah, that tradition that we want to help guide us into our future. The first time I met Marjorie was my Prabha Shabbos. I was taken there by a member of the shul, by Seth, and she opened the door, and she said, "Oh, is this the new rabbi at AI?" As Chazal tell us, Nisnabu ve'eni yodea ma nisnabu. She prophesied without knowing she was prophesizing. After that first sit-down, I came back to Eliana and told her I just met the most amazing lady. You have to meet her. Marjorie's elegance, sophistication, a certain sense of being regal, was combined with his unmatched warmth and kindness. Every single time I've spoken with her since, whether that be at a wedding or as she was sitting Shiva, I felt the exact same. She is a pillar for her family and for our community. As we have seen from the program, what this pillar of our community represents is our foundation. On the painting that we gifted Marjorie, I decided to inscribe on the bottom a pasuk that we read in Parshas Ha'azinu. Zechor yemos olam, binu shnos dor vador, shal avicha v'yagedcha zkenecha v'yomru lach. Remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations. Ask your father and he will show you, your elders and they will tell you. The Torah prescribes for us the path forward in our lives. Ask what was done. Ask the wise amongst you to remember the days of old. Learn the lessons of the past. Build off the past. We felt this is exactly how Marjorie presents to our shul and our community. That is who she is. When we asked Marjorie to be honored, her response was that she wants to say no, but she hears her parents telling her to do it. That is exactly why we are honoring her. Her deference, her reverence to her own parents, her understanding of how much her tradition plays a role in her future and in our future is exactly why we are honoring her. As Yaakov Avinu is dying, he gives a bracha to Yosef's children, Ephraim and Menashe. And the very first bracha he gives them is Ephraim and Menashe, Ki Reuven v'Shimon yihiyu li. Ephraim and Menashe should be like Reuven and Shimon. It's not the bracha of Hamalach HaGoa that we know. It's not anything else. The first one he gives is just you should be like Reuven and Shimon. Why is that the first bracha? The answer is that any bracha for health, for wealth, anything, pales in comparison to the bracha of being like the previous generation. Before any bracha in the future, one must connect to the previous generation, to the Masorah, to the Reuven and Shimon, the first of Yaakov's children. Marjorie is that connection to our past.
The next component of our shul, the second one, is ruchnius, spirituality. Last year I mentioned that our shul should be the center of Torah in our community, and it is. Whether it be the Daf Yomis, the Kinya Masechta, the Iyon Chabur, the Women's Shir, the Mishmar, the High School Mishmar, the youth programs, our shul has developed a reputation of Talmud Torah, and it will continue in Yirtzeh Hashem. Our shul must be the center of all ruchnius, whether that be Torah or Chesed. The members of our shul are the leaders in the area of Chesed in the community as well, whether that be Tomchei Shabbos, Kulanu Yachad, Justam having food delivered. Our shul and the members of our shul is leading the way and always looking for more helpers. Our shul is the center of Avodah Tefillah. We continue to grow to become a shul with a beautiful davening, where everyone knows that they can come to connect to the Creator. Shayna and Chaim Pinsker exemplify this category. Whether that be the Mishnayos Yomi being delivered in the shul, Shayna chairing the youth committee, the Pinskers always have ruchnius at their center. The very first parak on the lawn I attended when I came to the shul was at the Pinsker home, where Chaim gave a wonderful shir. The very first bar mitzvah that I attended was Jake's. I remember how inspired I was after leaving the bar mitzvah, where Jake made a siyum on Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, and immediately began teaching Mishnah to Noah, I think. Right? That's who. I still have that image in my mind of Noah going up there, sitting right in front of him on a chair. It was such an inspiring image to watch, and it showed how the Pinskers prioritize spirituality, ruchnius, in their home. And the way they prioritize it in their home is the way they serve our shul. Ruchnius always comes first. Pinskers are always volunteering, as we've heard many times tonight. Chesed is at their core. The Pinskers are always hosting, whether that be prospective members, their own family members, onegs. They're always open. They always open up their home. They're always machnes orchem. As we were preparing for our shul's 70th anniversary dinner, we knew we needed people that would represent the shul properly, that have served and sacrificed to continue building our shul. The Pinskers were an easy pick. As soon as their name came up, no other name was said. They represent our shul in the most amazing of ways. We know that we read every Shabbos, a misheberach for those who are osek b'tzarchei tzibor be'emunah. Those who are involved in communal needs be'emunah, in faith. What does it mean to be involved in faith? What that means is someone that is involved in communal needs purely l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven. There's no other reason. They do it because it's right. And that's exactly who the Pinskers are. We give them a bracha that because of all that they do for us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu yishalem scharchem v'yishlach bracha v'atzlacha b'chol ma'aseh yedechem. The last category of our shul, the third, is that of connectivity, socialism, in the sense of being social. Arevos, responsibility, the cohesive togetherness that our shul already has and must continue to have. The sense of responsibility towards one another, the kindness and warmth shown to one another. The kindness and warmth and feeling of togetherness that all of our esteemed honorees exemplify so perfectly. The feeling of a shul that is chubra lo yachtov, like Yerushalayim. It connects us. It binds us all. A shul that makes us feel comfortable and safe from the outside world so we can ultimately connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the identity of our shul. This is the identity that Marjorie and her family have laid the foundation for all those years ago. This is the foundation in which Shayna and Chaim have built on top with their volunteering, their dedication. The Mishnah in Avo says 70, Shivim is L'Seva. Seva represents fullness of years. Our shul has had a strong legacy. It's been full of years. But I implore everyone here to look at themselves as individuals and ask ourselves how we can continue this legacy, how we can build it even stronger for the next 70 years. We should each be asking ourselves what we can do to volunteer, serve our shul, help grow it, help continue build it. In that way, Amir Tzah Hashem, our shul will grow, and eventually will be transplanted into Eretz Israel with the coming of Mashiach b'meir Yameinu. A big mazel tov to all the honorees.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Steinmetz, for helping us see that path forward. Tonight, As we've celebrated 70 years of Adath Israel, we've honored people who represent different chapters of our story. Marjorie, whose family literally built the foundation we stand on, and Shayna and Chaim, who show us every day what it means to step up, to fix what needs fixing, and to build a community through action. Together, they remind us of a simple truth. Our community thrives because people choose to build it. People who step forward, who take responsibility, who invest, not just in programs, but in the people and the future. As Rabbi Steinmetz asked, the question isn't whether the shul will continue to thrive. The question is, who among us will step forward to help write the next chapter? Thank you all for being here tonight, for your support, for your friendship, and for making our shul community the incredible kahila that it is. We will have benching, followed by dessert, and there will be a Ma'ariv minyan starting 5 minutes by the buffet. Thank you and good night.